Go7 king of the game. I believe in you, that's what it'll say. Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Seeing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7 king of the game. I believe in you, that's what it'll say. Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Seeing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7 king of the game. I believe in you, that's what it'll say. Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Seeing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7.
Oh. Hey! Oh my gosh, I know someone put in first before Fluffy here, but apparently the stream did not pick it up. I'm in my costume. Unfortunately, my costume doesn't blink, so you're gonna get a dead-eyed stare from me this whole time. Why in retro? That's because one of the people that asked me to go on Twitch suggested I should be in retro for discoverability, I guess. I could put it in advanced source by web though. I think, actually I don't know if that is a category. It probably is, right? You're judging? Why are you judging? This is the first one. That we're doing today, is that right? Mouse Rachel, yeah. Fluffy's always judging. I don't know if I have a numpad for the... Oh well. Hello! Dual Striker, hello! I'll give some time for people to show up, and then we'll hop on into this Rachel v. Rachel struggle grinding game. Penguin must feed penguin. Oh, that reminds me, I should give out membership gifting. Yo, spooky penguin. I'm in the spirit. All of the staff in my class dressed up for Halloween. We're very much in this. Go! Shit. Timeshare. Silver Cervera. These Productions. Fluffy, you got missed. The Fluffy luck has failed you. Oh wait, you already have it? Oh, are you paying for a membership now? Or has yours not expired? Oh, is that what happened? I probably gave them out like the 5th or something. So yours expires in a few days. I see. That makes sense. That makes sense. The fluffy luck, it's still intact. I'm sure that this map's looking. I should update these tips at the bottom, huh? An apple a day keeps the doctor open. Okay, we'll hop on into this. We got Mouse. I think it's Mouse. Mouse versus 21 in a Rachel mirror on Struggle Grindin. So this is a base light map. So seeing a Rachel mirror is pretty expected. She's really strong when it comes to base light. I would say definitely the strongest in the tier. Sometimes you can play Lash against her if you can get some really key early engagements and have your day-to-day just kind of win the early game, and then you can survive the missiles. The Go7 of Penguin fame. Membership jump scare. So we'll see how this plays out. In the mirror, I think it's a pretty decent mirror because both players are trying to play around each other's supers, and 21 forget to finish the capture. Oh no! Well, that's very painful. Where's the penguin? But both players are going to be playing around each other's supers, and that kind of like impact the board state for both of them, depending on how well they're playing around it, or if one of them decides to go for the normal power and try and just get a really big swing with a lucky lass. As always, very painful to not finish an early game capture like this, because it hits you harder than you think. It's not just this 1,000, it's also slowing down the next captures that this guy could be going for, which could be 2 more, which actually costing you 3,000 funds to miss the turn. And that's very, very impactful. It can also throw off your vehicle timings. If this guy gets this property and this property or something like that, then that would be 3,000. If it's only one more property, then you're just down 2,000 funds. It's still not ideal. It also slows them down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this recon will be able to get here and actually stop this capture. Where I think originally it would not be able to. This is, instead of moving here this turn, it would be starting the capture this turn. So the recon would just spot you as you finish. Now the recon would spot you as you step on there. Your opponent would be very confused as to why that infantry got there a turn later. Fortunately, the recon did not go that route. It had gone over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would spot this. 1, 2, 3, 6, 8. It would be able to interrupt it. But who's playing for that? Instead, just moves the recon straight forward over here. Ready to interrupt this capture. Has this infantry to help with the attack. If this guy like doesn't go this comm tower, which it looks like there was actually a city skip I missed in order to start capturing this comm tower. That's kind of odd because this comm tower is very safe, much closer to 21 here than it is to Mouse. So no need to skip some income. Already we can see that Mouse is just ahead of 21 economically because Mouse is starting the turn even in income, and then also has greater than half a turn's worth of or is how do you say it? Mouse should be starting half a turn's worth of income behind in unit value, and is just barely not. So things are looking very good for Mouse, although Mouse would not know this at this point. Could potentially know now that this is spotted and sees how much slower it is. Very awkward for this recon to go down here and then up here, when it could have just gone up here in one move. It is what it is. It's much more typical to see what Mouse just did here, where you skip this comm tower to go for an early capture, because the comm tower doesn't tend to have a huge impact early on. It doesn't give you income, so going for something that gives you income will tend to lead to a stronger start, and then you can just have someone else pick up the comm tower before the big fights start. This recon very boldly goes in here and smacks from the missile platform, which in this case is going to work out very nicely because there isn't actually a tank in range, although there is the possibility there could be. It wouldn't be the worst thing if there was a tank in range, though, because it is on the missile platform, so it would survive the hit for sure. And it does do damage to this infantry that captures. You actually really enjoyed this map. Well, thank you. I think it's a great costume too. There's something that Mouse can do, although I doubt we will see it. Actually, they can't. Oh, the recon can go over here. Okay, so the infantry can go here. We can have like a full surround on this recon, attack with this recon, and then bring the tanks in. I think it makes more sense to do this. Just get this interrupt on this capture, have the tank chill on the city so that the city can't be used as a striking off point. Okay, we built an anti-air this turn. Looks like it's probably going to be maybe one turn earlier than it needs to be. But early game anti-air is always going to be something you want to have in the fog, because sometimes people captors and you would love to just shut them down completely. Plus, anti-airs are still good against infantry and recons. I should have a go at this week's BMC, huh? Is the missile okay for airport? If you're going for the missile for the airport lock, then I would start the game with that in mind, and you're going to want to make sure you have a really strong presence up here. So like, you wouldn't want to have these multiple tanks down here, because you would be setting up for that missile lock as soon as possible, or feasibly possible, I should say. But typically I would say no, that's probably not worth it. It's non-mixed flip / diagonal symmetry, huh? Well, isn't that just your typical map? You won your first round of Smacky Cup 4, that's awesome. Struggling to get into round 2. No worries. Part of the fun is just playing. Don't just be sure not to stress about it. Always remember that this is a game and it's meant to be fun. So even if you're losing, I would, if that's what you're meaning, I would try and find a way to have fun with it. Sometimes you can make your own victory conditions in a losing game, where you're like, I'm clearly going to lose this game, but I really want to make sure I take out that artillery that's been destroying me all game long. And then you'll throw everything at them, take out the artillery, and then resign. You still get a nice little feeling of accomplishment. And you get to have a lot of fun in coming up with the plan and everything like that. You lost your first round of Smacky Cup? It was your very first time playing Fog? That can definitely happen. First time you play a mode is... Sometimes it just, like, clicks with you, and other times... it becomes very apparent that whatever strategy you're used to using in one mode does not transition well into another. Wow, Mouse is being very aggressive with this artillery. There's no need to have the artillery this far forward, unless I guess it really wants to have sights on this city. I would be very hesitant to have it this far forward, because this tank is kind of set up to die if it gets hit from two sides, which aren't covered, and the artillery is on the road right here. If it goes down, you're going to be really sad. It can just be a tile back, and it would still be protecting the tank, and there could be potentially another thing in the way. Blink click with every new mode. Is that with diagonal symmetry? I must be misunderstanding. Here's Fred. Good luck, buddy. Ooh, okay, so 21's not going to try and... Oh, I see. So 21, I think, could have gotten this, but it was probably a roll for the tank to get this kill, and then this guy didn't die. It was attacking an 8. So since it didn't die, it barely lose at 1. Now you can't kill this infantry and still have this tile open. There is also the option here to just move this guy back and then have the infantry that took a little bit more damage, most likely because it's on the road, and have it try and go for the sacrifice. I think a tank with a comm tower would have a pretty decent chance of killing this, though. And then how many tanks would be ready to go in? So say this tank is the kill here, and then you have one tank to strike here, tank to strike here, tank to strike the artillery, and then you have one more tank to attack something at once. Maybe the recon? Recon plus infantry strike? Something like that. And this recon goes after an infantry. It seems like it'd be pretty strong. Not Fred! Okay, this recon sees that there's like no tanks in range, so this anti-air is probably going to go in and interrupt this. Capture. Pop. Pop. A very aggressive capture over here, but we can see 21's already running into the problem of that pretty much everyone will run into when playing base light, and that is infantry count. You start with a fairly healthy number in the early game because they're like the only things you can produce, and then very quickly you're just producing nothing but vehicles from your bases. So every infantry that you lose is not being replaced, and suddenly it becomes very difficult to interrupt captures in successful ways. Very weird that this artillery stood back here unguarded like this, but if there's a little bit more of like a wall going on here with the artillery up a tile, then this would be pretty scary to try and interrupt. This looks like it's going to work out fairly well for 21, unless Mouse is able to get a super. Rest in peace, infantry. Okay, Mouse is just go straight for the lucky lass. You take out this recon. You got the tank. Looks like we're probably gonna have lucky lass against the ooh, barely survived. Against the covering fire. Got that tank. smack the infantry down to 1. Got some pretty nice rolls, not perfect rolls. Okay, so I think we probably could have done a little bit more here to the magnet things. It looks like the value and the HP missile will both hit the front lines right here, which is pretty nasty. And then the infantry one is going to hit down here. Fortunately, it has to hit all 3 infantry, so it's not going to... It can hit here, which is probably where it's going to strike. But that doesn't hit any vehicle. Oh, definitely... Well, that's fine. I was going to say, definitely you want to make sure that you don't accidentally paste your own stuff. For instance, this would be the kind of thing I would want to examine first. Before, like, do I need to move my tank? Because at least at first glance, you might think that these infantry will hit your... Like, when the missile lands, will hit your tank. But in this case, it's fine, just because how that's scanned. Pop. Got that tank. Lucky Lass is, of course, still in effect. Ooh. Anyone didn't build any infantry here, so might not quite realize the dire straits that are incoming. Down to 2 infantry for 21, one with 1 HP. They are actually even in economy here, which is pretty surprising. But that's not going to last for very long, as this is going to get flipped. And then more cities will start getting flipped for Mouse, while 21 won't have it. Okay, we do have 2 infantry being built now. It'll take a little while to get out there, but at least there's some on the way. Okay, I assume we're going to interrupt this. Like so. Okay. Tank, float 7k. That does mean there'll be 27k. Well, a little bit less because we do have some repairs, but a lot of money available next turn. I'm assuming another Neo tank, or maybe going for a bomber. Okay, so 21 now has the unit count lead. Mouse still has the income lead. Wow. Well, this is a little bit sketchy for Mouse. If you're going to build a T-copter, you had the money last turn, you should have built it then. But maybe didn't quite expect, was waiting to see what the opponent would do. Artillery infantry T-copter was not what I was expecting. Looks like 21 is going to start stalling a bit here. Bomber? Okay, there's the bomber. I would definitely build probably 2 more recons at this point. Once you have really large armies moving around in Fog of War, you just really want to know where your opponent's moving. You don't want to stumble into their range on accident. A rocket, okay. Both players very much dedicated to stalling it out here. They now both have a bomber too. Okay, a recon does spot this. Mouse has a nice 3k lead, so it doesn't really need to try and instigate any fighting. Let's have another recon, which is good because this one just died. We might see a fight break out over this. I think the medium tank's just a little bit out of position though. Oh, Sulfurin, thank you. And 10 memberships. Yellow does really hate his infantry. Oh, that's right, the Rachel update. That's true. Yeah, there was a bit of a stall session that went on here. Now, both players here should be very hesitant, like very hesitant to keep formations like this, because they're both playing against Rachel, and if she can charge into your like death ball formation and rack up enough charge to launch her super, you will just lose the game on the spot. So definitely don't want to be clumping up like this against Rachel, even if you are Rachel. I don't think either players are really trying to position themselves in a way that they could give themselves an offensive super like that, so I guess it's okay right now. That's quite the wall of units. Ooh, 21 did get this city. We're catching up a little bit in economy here. Okay, the rocket has been spotted. It's going to get to shoot a recon or an infantry, its choice. And 21 has definitely recovered infantry-wise, which I wouldn't have expected to happen. But if the game stalls, then you definitely can. It actually has a nice unit count lead. Looks like the rocket's... Okay, it's going to fire at that guy. That's fair. Typically, you wouldn't expect the infantry count to bounce back like this, because if the opponent's keeping up the pressure on you, then kind of obligated to keep building vehicles, not infantry. Fluffy shambles. Fluff was done in by me because I think he got a membership gifted on like the 5th of October or something like that, so it hasn't expired yet. It's just about to expire, so we can't get another one apparently. Okay, you clear out top there. You can see that, like in most fog maps, a lot of it's going to come down to these sides. The center's just like a giant stair down, and whoever can spare the units to take some properties on the sides will start getting a really nice advantage. Looks like the bombers have been spotted, so we have a fighter being built. The charge is getting up there. Anyone is definitely not playing around the super. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this bomber cannot reach this Neo tank, but the Neo tank could reach the Neo tank. Okay. Anti-air breaks the wall. There we go. We're going to give ourselves some charge. Go for another hit. Almost there. Kill off a tank. No need to charge in with the bomber. No need to charge in with the bomber. Alright, covering fire. He's going to do a lot of damage. A 50,000 damage super. Maybe even more, because I think some of the fog, the units in the fog we didn't get to see. Little replay glitch. And then we'll see what kind of magnet mouse builds here. This bomber really should not have charged forward. Okay, this looks pretty decent. A lot of infantry. Yeah, okay. It was an 80,000 damage super. A response covering fire. One does hit the front lines, which is pretty nice, and then the other one's just going to hit this giant clump of infantry, which this rocket didn't need to be near, and I don't think it actually got hit. Yeah, the bomber didn't need to die. Rest in peace. Okay, these are looking pretty good for... So 21 just kind of charged in here, which is pretty gutsy. The army down here is still looking fairly strong in comparison to what it's kind of run up against, but the top looks like it's absolutely destroyed here. Although there's not much you can do when your opponent hits you with an 80,000 value super, and then you retaliate with like a 40k. Ooh, Mouse is a little scared though. Alright. Mouse is really scared. Why is this fighter so far back? Hank charges forward to kill off the 2 helicopters. I would say Mouse is in a very strong position here, but if 21 can just kind of bully Mouse back anyways, start getting these captures. The fighter went in. And Mouse is like, no. I'm not just gonna let you get away with that. And then another super is gonna come in. 21's not nearly as grouped up, but still is pretty grouped up over here at the top. Donk donk. Ugh. Was at 100k unit value. We'll see on their turn. I guess they didn't take. It took like 20k, 13k, and then repaired some. They are at like half the value. GG. Definitely a lesson to be learned around not grouping up against Rachel. The response super here looks like it would like the the health value and the infantry one would hit over here, and then the unit value would hit over here. All the captures have been stopped for 21, so I think it's definitely going to be GG. Wasn't impressed with the rocket, but that's okay. Hello. Rachel mirrors, they be weird. I think everyone's had a game where they just get absolutely destroyed by Rachel supers. Maybe several. If you don't know, you can go into the move planner and you can check where Rachel super is going to land and use that to try and guide it in a way that hits you for as little as possible, or hit your opponent for as much as possible. Hi. Whichever you prefer. All right, we got Iron Man 7768 versus Valdudu on this very tall map. I think this must be a tournament game. Olaf's quite strong on this map. Oh yeah, we saw a game on this map, but I think it was Kindle. Was it Kindle versus Lash or something last time? I don't remember. Or was it Max versus Olaf like before? I thought it was Kindle. There are practically no roads. Koal would be awful. By practically no roads, you mean no roads. Yeah. It's just bridges. A few of these bases look very susceptible to being attacked by artillery, so that would make me not want to play Max. But maybe you can get some really strong airports going on, and then the copters kind of ruling the world in mixed base could make up for that. Max is now banned on tier 2. What? Okay, then he's got to be good if he's gonna... Is it the copters? I would think that the artillery would be so strong here. Well, I guess we'll find out. Where there's a will, there's a road. Poor Koal. I haven't checked all the updates that Advanced Wars by Web has been coming out. I haven't been a huge fan of the balance updates. I feel like they're kind of messing with, or maybe they're double dipping with the tier system. But I haven't seen all of them. Koal getting to use bridges, I think, is just a quality of life, essentially. The central airport is really hard to deal with. But it is the airport. Okay, okay. Ooh, Iron Man going with a max mech. Fairly rare to see. Not that they're bad, it's just that they're not powered up like tanks, so you tend to go for tanks. His mechs are just as good as your average mech. Okay. We do have our quick copter here. The copters are really strong in mixed base because they are amazing at front shifting, and mixed base tends to be very terrain heavy. So this copter can like swing over here and it's threatening two bases, so you kind of have to build an anti-air. Otherwise the copter just starts getting free hits. So you build an anti-air and then the copter just flies up here and it starts threatening this base. You're like, I guess I have to build an anti-air. And while you're building these two anti-airs in response to their one copter, they start building tanks, and then the copter leaves to go harass other places where you don't have anti-airs, and you have anti-airs versus tanks, and you get really sad. Thank you. I like the costume. Ooh. That's a very dangerous, it's fine. The tank can almost get trapped in there. It can be barely rescued. The anti-air got built up here, so I guess it's going to be anti-air up here, and then anti-air over here. Well, this tank didn't want to go in for the strike. It just wants to block this infantry from interrupting. Okay, okay, I getcha. Go for the interrupt. Okay. I was wondering, I mean, Iron Man can go for, So I was thinking, you build a tank here for sure. You send infantry onto this city, you send infantry onto this forest, you send infantry onto this forest, and then the copter goes here so that they can't kill this one off. And then they have to use 2 infantry to kill off this guy. But then you have like a bunch of nice strikes against them. But then the tank still gets away. It's probably not worth it. If this 4 health infantry could get in the way, you can go to here. It can go here, but they can't go to here or here, which is where it would have to go. That's okay. Going backwards here for our comm tower makes sense. Quite sure where this copter went here. I would like it to have a little more aggression down to these bases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think this copter can kill this. Yeah. So that might have been a roll. It is a max copter. There's a little bit of a fumble there for Iron Man. You'd love to have another strike in here to stop this capture. Otherwise, the attack isn't nearly as strong as you would like it to be. Okay, we have our double tank over here. We could also have built a copter over here, I think. And okay. We have a copter from Valdudu and an anti-air build already in response. Which does cover this capture, I guess. Okay, there's our anti-air build down here. A little wall of infantry to stop this copter from just running through. As long as Olaf doesn't have a horrible loss in the early game, I imagine things are going to start looking really good. Because the unit value will start going up, the charge will start going up, and then the snow is going to hit. I'm supposed to be... I'm inspired by Granny Weatherwax, the witch, for the costume. We haven't seen a single artillery yet. Which is what I was really expecting. Valdudu did go for a base game. Okay, we're gonna charge through, hit this anti-air with the tank. It's going to cost. It might not cost, I guess. You get some nice coverage. Very bold of this anti-air. It's just sitting in tank cleanup range. The max mech is kind of blocked on this mountain. You could clear off the mountain with anti-air and 2 infantry strikes, and then the max mech can strike and the tank can strike, which would clear this off, I'm pretty sure. But that does delay this comm tower for max, which is probably not worth it. All these little attacks that Max is doing, where like the units are surviving, I would say is beneficial for Olaf, assuming Olaf doesn't just collapse from them. Finished off the anti-air. Just because charge is so much better for Olaf than Max. Like, Max doesn't have a bad power, but his real strength in this matchup is that he has a usable day-to-day. Whoa! Olaf goes for an early game blizzard? Well, you need to get a lot out of an early game blizzard. It is going to be super cute that you get this city. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7. So with a power, Max can make it to this forest and hit this infantry, but it doesn't really. I mean, I don't think the blizzard is a great play here. It does get this city, but like Max has to feel pretty good about not having to deal with global damage for a while. It does also save this copter. Well, that's interesting. I didn't realize infantry were unaffected by snow on the river. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Fun facts. Yes, rivers and forests unaffected by snow. Was the copter already safe? Could they not pin it in? Well, I guess if they can just do that, they're safe. Oh no! Comm tower gets interrupted. Very bad news for Max. Right now, I guess Max is down a comm tower. So Olaf is hitting that key 20% threshold. That's a lot of damage. I mean, this is looking just so much in Olaf's favor. This base is getting wrecked. Down in income. Okay, we go to max super. Going for the comm tower over here. You get some nice tank attacks. And fortunately for Max, Olaf won't be able to just super back immediately. Oh my gosh, had to base skip. Does miss out on this comm tower. Obviously, interrupt over here. I'm switching away from this base, which does mean that this can be interrupted. Okay, build another anti over here. Starting to get ready to close in on this base. I'm still surprised not single artillery. Okay, we're going to join cap this to really put the pressure on. Go for the interrupt over here. There's 2 tanks to try and get revenge. I assume they're going to go for it. Okay, we are going to join cap. Pretty nasty attack. Definitely going to try and go for the Winter Fury. I'm surprised that it was an infantry that went there. I thought that would be the tank to finish this off. What's this tank going to do then? Okay. Max, clear off the base. So no Winter Fury this turn. We'd have to do Winter Fury and then also like a copter attack over here to save the comm tower. And the copter would have lived because of the snow. But as is, Max is going to get this comm tower. Gets to build a medium tank here. There is now an artillery on the way. It wishes he was here just slightly earlier. Okay, here comes the snow. It'd be very nice over here. I think this might get broken. Although being down a comm tower, very unfortunate. Oh! Never mind. Okay. This tank had to be used. That's okay. And lock in this medium tank. In 2 turns, there'll be an artillery staring it down. Guess attacking the mech is fine. This tank's coming in to save the day. There's not very many healthy infantry over here, so Max will have this comm tower advantage for a while, but my gosh, the snow and all that attacking, Max is way behind in unit value. A huge chunk of it's this medium tank that's trapped and gonna die to an artillery, so that's just GG. How much did that Winter Fury do? I guess Olaf was already ahead in unit value at the start of that turn, which is outrageous. Did like 20k. GG. Yeah, Olaf looked very strong there. maybe if there was a little bit more, either like slightly slower copter from Max or just a little bit more aggressive copter, it could have worked out. Didn't quite get the mixed base pressure out of it. We have Mr. Not So Cool versus Hevol. Struggle Grindin version 2 again. And another Rachel versus Rachel. Oh, look at that. Oh, we'll see if they play around their supers. Marco map. Deja vu indeed. Where are you calling it? There you are. Okay. Make this a little bit bigger. Well, this one is a live game. We'll see how this plays out. There we go. Okay, Hevol already had a better start. Did not miss completing the capture. No early recon from Hevol. We're going for early tank from Mr. Not So Cool. Let's see, tank versus tank here. So far, the openings are looking fairly similar. The only difference is infantry deployment from Mr. Not So Cool. I think what happened was, I'm not sure, but this is, wait, let's go back a little bit here. Where's this infantry come from? Oh, okay, I see. This infantry goes here and then up here. Mr. Not So Cool's infantry just goes straight forward. Yeah. Only difference, we got 2 tanks and a recon versus triple tank. We do go for that same little city skip there. Tanks don't currently see it, although this tank could spot it. Just spot there. They're all covering each other very nicely. They also were not seen going into that forest. Mr. Not So Cool doing that comm tower skip gets this property where Hevol does not have it yet. So that could be a big point of contention in this match. It's just the city now. We'll see how it plays out. They're both fairly lax on the side deployments. So here, unfortunately, this tank cannot reach down here. You gotta be real careful with how you go about attacking this tank. You might initially think, oh, I want to use this tank attacking on the plains because it's in a safer position. I'll just move my infantry out of here to get it out of the way, but then you'll lose vision of the tank in the forest. So yeah, you have to do that. Pop, pop, and then does the recon go in to interrupt this capture? Doesn't. It just decides to occupy the forest. I think either move is fine. Personally, I think interrupting this capture might be the better way to go because this does look like a very contestable city. Back. We're going in with these copters. They're just barely out of vision range, I think. Yeah. Currently, although I don't like this copter's placement. I'd prefer if it was here, because right now, if Hevol goes in with a tank to kill off your 8 health tank, it's going to reveal your copter, and you really don't want that revealed. That's an early game copter. If it's over here, it's still guarding everything that this one's guarding, but it won't be revealed if they go in to attack your tank. We'll see if Hevol does, though. Doesn't, and then gets to finish off the tank, which is very nice. Rachel does have a day-to-day that lets her repair units 3 hit points at a time instead of 2, or 30% at a time instead of 20%. So the injured units do heal up very quickly for her. So finishing them off is nice. Not as important as like against Andy, but oh my gosh. Oh, wrong button. I was too excited. Infantry kills a 2 health tank. That's pretty rare. That's pretty rare. There goes the 3 health tank. We have a nice little wall. These units are pretty far forward, but I think they'll be okay. Anti-air went way up here. Not even covering this tank. Go down here to go for interrupt. Max smack. Tank returns. I assume the anti-air is going to come on down. Here, I'd have the anti-air go at least 1 more, maybe 2 more down, because you don't want to have exposed units. Probably fine though. I mean, there's also this copter defending over here. That's well. It would probably be GG if this anti-air was just 2 tiles down. Because then the anti-air comes in, kills this copter comes in, hits this tank, and then you can kind of clean up these 2 tanks very easily, and then there'll be the copter will be blocking the anti-air from being hit by opposing tanks. Absolutely wild copter attack over here, considering if a copter's been built in 2 turns ago, it would be covering. And now the anti-air is covering everything that matters. It's not covering the infantry. It's been spotted. Things are fairly grouped up. We're gonna have a covering fire. Oof, the anti-air gets hit twice. Oh no. We'll see how Hevol plays around the opposing potential super. So didn't really try and play around it. I think it would have been possible to make it so they didn't both hit boom, like right here in the front. Well, it's not so bad. This one only get hit once. Yeah, it hit the front lines, but it kind of hit like the injured ones the most, so I think that's fine for Hevol. Pretty nicely done. So many copters. But you'll see that a lot in base light because it means that you can produce more units if you're producing copters every turn and your opponent isn't. You do also need to be a little bit wary, because if your opponent kind of goes... If like Mr. Not So Cool had 2 anti-airs instead of 1, then very quickly all the copters can kind of get cleaned up. This anti-air... Hevol keeps going for these like really sketchy copter attacks, and they keep working out. They won't work out forever. I guess this tank is guarding over here, so it's not so bad. Ooh, base skip for the Neo tank. A nice artillery on the way. There's some really nice forests that have artillery in. So that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no! This copter moved. This copter revealed that there's an anti-air in range of it. Striketh, striketh, strike. Ooh, this city does get flipped. Oh, okay. We're not going to try and get the hit on this copter. Preserve the anti-air. Makes sense. Ooh, Hevol going for the lucky last. It's just such a bold... Is the copter going to try and kill off this anti-air? Okay, this is not playing around covering fire at all. Oh, unless... No, I'm still just gonna hit up here. And the infantry one hits down here. Like that? I mean, covering fire looks insane here. Reveal. Take out the copter. Covering fire. Pop, pop, everything on the front lines. Down here interrupts the capture. That guy out. The artillery at least gets to heal up to 7 and then fire. But that's still just like a ton of damage taken. Hevol does maintain a nice unit count lead, as you'd expect from so many copters being built. And Mr. Not So Cool did not build another anti-air. That one does go down. These copters will be relatively unopposed for now. Okay. Still looking very good for Mr. Not So Cool unit value wise. Unit count wise, you know, there's a bit to be desired, but there's a lot of injured units. Oh my gosh. Okay. Charging into the artillery range is pretty gutsy. It is going to go down to 1 and heal up to 4 and fire, so it's not like the end of the world, but still pretty gutsy. Mr. Not So Cool evens up the unit count. It's only a tiny bit behind now. Oh my gosh. So they're both at 18 units, but Mr. Not So Cool has 4 infantry, while Hevol has 10 and a mech. That means Mr. Not So Cool has 14 vehicles against Hevol's 7. Which means fighting force-wise, Mr. Not So Cool is really advantageous. Though it looks like we're running into the Neo Tank's bane of not enough support for vision, although this 2-health copter can help with that. You can go spot a tank and get it killed. Look, oh no, this medium tank isn't even covering, so I mean, if the Neo Tank really wanted to, it can take a step forward and take this out with a little bit of help from its friends. Okay, well, if you're falling back like this, then don't put the anti-air on this forward city. We have our T-copter on the way here. Alright, the 2 tanks did not dive in to take out this anti-air. Which I'm pretty surprised by, because they would be covered by a medium tank. and like all the copters we've seen. Which are not so cool. Goes for the capture up here. Still way ahead in unit value. Hevol starting to try and make a little death wall here, which I would not recommend against Rachel, of course. But you do you. It was a fairly safe turn to do it. Kind of a bad practice to get into. My gosh. Okay, well, this is probably going to be GG. There's so many copters on the field, they generate so much charge. Oh, I guess not. Okay, we weren't able to... maybe like a copter swing in here. No, okay, Hevol's the one that gets the first super. Well, I guess the first super, second super. Doesn't use it, utilizing the hidden passive to Rachel's super that makes your opponent play around it, which tends to make their frontline army a lot weaker. The Hevol made magnets, but the magnets were kind of on the front lines, which is not ideal. Usually when you're trying to... There's a few go-tos when you're making a magnet for a Rachel super. 2 medium tanks in a row is pretty classic, because the medium tank leaves the base and it can still be in range, so you'll have a medium tank on its way to the front lines and then one on the base, and that's a lot of unit value that tends to suck up a missile. And then you can just have a little cluster of 3 infantry or so, and that'll suck up infantry missile. You can make it like 5 infantry, and then it'll suck up the infantry and the HP missile, and then that in combination with a double medium tank can make it so not a single one of your front units gets hit. Ideally, when you're making the magnets, you don't want to be using your already on the board units, because those guys have better things to be doing, such as threatening and fighting. Using the reinforcements, I want to do it. So like here, Mr. Not So Cool made magnets out of the frontline units, and then so they like fell really far back. And Hevol is just like, you know, I just won't use the super. Okay. We have the covering fire. Pop, pop. 2 hits this Neo tank. 1 hits down here. I think what happened is that the HP missile hits down here, but the infantry missile, I think Mr. Not So Cool didn't quite recognize that this infantry moved into range to be next to this one, or in range of this one. So when the game is scanning to be like, where do I want the infantry missile to land? It's saying, oh, there's a group of 2 up here, there's a group of 2 down here, so I'm going to scan whichever one I hit first. Boom, right there. And then it actually boom right here. So it hits right here to hit the 2 infantry, which just happens to hit the Neo tank and this tank as well. Making it a very valuable infantry missile. I mean, yeah, lucky last when you hit all the rolls is pretty strong. So the downside for Hevol holding that super for so long is that it does give Mr. Not So Cool a lot of charge towards the next one. There isn't going to be a third response super this turn, but if the fighting continues, then next turn there might be. Anti-air is fairly safe. Only one tile to hit it from, a lot of injured units. I would have recommended to Hevol to stop building out of the airport for a while. Looks like that might be what they're going to do now. Because eventually your opponent is going to start building a force that counters your airport heavy force. Now there's anti-airs with every group. Things are looking nice. Things are not so cool. Still down in unit count, but up in vehicle count and way ahead in unit value. And now also charge and income. Things should go Mr. Not So Cool's way. Another thing about Rachel Super is that the longer the game goes, and the more fighting that happens, and the unit count gets lower and lower, the harder and harder it is to make magnets. Especially like infantry and HP magnets. Fluffy. Oh, covering fire. Pop, pop, pop. And then Hevol resigns, yeah. GG. The two frontline tanks were fine, but yeah, everything back here got walloped, and then even this one this infantry threatening this city is going to be a huge issue. GG. They were a little bit better about playing around the supers. It's not easy, I'll tell you that, especially in live. Coal miner. Oh no. It's probably coal miner, right? Yeah. I have a typo. Coal miner versus wedgekahn. Mr. Not So Cool looking pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Maybe a tiny bit smaller. I think this is Dreadnought's wall. This is definitely a coal main, so yes, you definitely won't usually see Koal versus Eagle, tier 4 CO versus a tier 2. However, usually people that have these alts tend to be enjoying a very big MMR discrepancy. So I definitely wouldn't count coal miner out, as especially with extra movement COs, you can get a lot done if you just have better positioning than your opponent. We'll see how it goes. And what kind of opening that people go for. We have an early recon, beep beep, coal miner going along the roads here. Is that a little cheeky city skip? Seems good to me. This guy will just go for the city instead. Not necessarily needed. I guess this guy's gonna go for this city. This guy could have gone for this city. Well, this guy walks to here and then goes for this city. But that's okay. As long as you're not cannibalizing your own captures, you can kind of do whatever capture or you want. Especially on a map this big where you're not going to have very much harassment coming your way. I wouldn't suggest going for this city, because now this does kind of feel like it's cannibalizing some captures, or like capture efficiency is going down a bit. Because like from this city, this one was reachable in 2 turns, but this one isn't, so I would go for this one instead. Is this map like a Walmart Stalingrad? It's definitely a Stalingrad inspired. This is what I was talking about. Like sometimes you'll run into positional problems. I guess They might not have been going for this capture. They might have been trying to go for like this capture, in which case they have to walk past it. And that is where they have to stand. The Recon's going to get a little bit of harassment in here. There isn't a tank on coming out of here yet, so it should, well, it depends on how daring Coal Miner is. If they're feeling risky, then they can get another swing in. They do see a tank up here, so I think they probably will go for a swing. They know, no, they're not. But you see an early tank up here, then it probably wouldn't be that bad to kill off this infantry. This thing is just chilling up here. No fear in the world. Okay. I think we're going for a little recon front switcheroony. Anti-air on the way. Bunch of tanks. Oh, this tank is so gutsy. It's been here so long that an artillery could have made it over here and sat in these woods. There's also no real reason for this tank to be here, because there's no captures going for this city yet. It just kind of leaves itself to get first struck. Although it's a 7-7 trade, so that's not so bad. Recon gets smacked. This Recon gets an interrupt over here. This tank can go back and hit it if it would like to. Although a lot of vehicles came down over here, so trying to fight up here is not ideal. I do like the 1 health Recon making a run for it though. It's not going to work out, but I like the idea. Also, attacking over here makes a lot of sense. You see quite a few units on this side. Go for the attack on the other side. Recon's alive at 1. The 5 health infantry, does it finish it off? It does! It means this tank now is invisible. Oh, that tank actually lived. Interesting. Okay, well that means this Recon gets to survive. At least for now. This poor Recon, it had supporters, but they got walled off. Very nicely done by Coal Miner. Wedgekahn goes for the interrupt on the comm tower. It makes sense to me. 2 tanks. Then anti-air support incoming. Well, you see 3 tanks over here. Double anti-air. So in this matchup, as Eagle, I would not go for early anti-airs. Just because your copters can eat Koal's copters for breakfast any day. Might as well just go for copters instead, early on. Good evening, Slyfox. Rest in peace, Recon. This is a nice opening for Coal Miner. That's some nice exchanges. There's a little bit of an income lead going on. We'll see. I mean, Eagle doesn't really hit you until the super, so we'll see how that goes, and the super can make up for a lot. 2 turns are a lot of turns. Some really good attacks, though. Coal Miner fighting over these comm towers. I'm not thrilled about hurling all these infantry down here. I think it's a little bit more difficult to reinforce this front with infantry than it is over here. Now goes that recon. Check there. Go for some swings on these guys. Tanks defending the anti-air. Here, I think wedgekahn can kind of ditch on this front and just send all the vehicles over here. And be pretty happy with how that would turn out. Ooh, we're going to go for a Koal super. We'd go for a pretty unfortunate exchange over here to do it, but we're going to finish off that tank. And finish off this anti-air. Take out the vision that was here. Start the comm tower capture. Okay, there's still a lot of tanks over here, so if wedgekahn gets the super, which it looks like they're going to get, then this front should be pretty easy to clean up. Zoom. Okay, the anti-air is going to go down. Very good news for coal miner. Because now this copter's kind of invincible over here. So as wedgekahn here, I think you kind of, you'll use the super for sure. You won't engage on this front at all because copter's just so imposing. You would just be like, I'm going to wipe out everything over here. I'm not sure if you'd go for this attack. Just because it is a little nasty, but it's fine. That attack makes sense. And make sure to spare some cash so you can get some extra buys in. Yeah. Lightning strike. I guess wedgekahn really wanted to kill that artillery. Smack with the tanks. Also make sure to interrupt the comm tower. Wait, what? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this is the one that had to go over here and interrupt the comm tower. A little embarrassing that this got through. And even though like the tank army over here is strong enough to clean up all of this on the next turn, the infantry count over here is really low. So it'll be a long time before you can take the comm tower even after winning this area. So very important to interrupt it. The coal miner kind of lucks out there. It's going to get a nice 2 comm tower advantage, it looks like. I would try and hide the medium tanks a little bit longer than that. No real reason for him to move that far forward. They have it just like here, maybe. You know this tank's here. I guess you don't know this tank's here. I guess that's fair. You know these things. Neo tank comes on down. 1 health tank managed to escape the army. Got some secret spies. Oh, this one got taken out. Oh. Look at that. This is a pretty valuable spy at seeing the unit movements. Two health infantry reveals itself. Take out this recon. I think you could have gone into these woods if you wanted. Well, that's a little risky. They might have something in the woods trapped. I don't know why there was no comm tower interrupt. I think it was just a little bit of a miscalculation. Ooh. Clear out the anti-air. And charge down to face these medium tanks. That's never something you want to see when you've got 2 medium tanks, when the enemy just sends in light tanks to fight you, and you're like, uh-oh. They either did a big misplay, or I'm about to send my medium tanks to their doom. Which looks like it's going to be the case here, as the Neo tank can come in, and the copters can do some harassment. The vision on this from this 1 health tank, getting some more swings in. Neo tank, it's a nice finish off of that medium tank. We have more Neo tanks incoming. No artillery from Eagle, which is one of the units that Eagle tends to like. We have a rocket, which is like a really slow artillery. Eagle tends to like artillery because he gets to do the move and shoot, which makes like Neo tanks against him a lot weaker. Because like the artillery could be back here, and then it moves up into range, and then lightning strike it fires. You got gifted 5 memberships this month. It's day 1. Why have arty when you can have rockets? I guess that's true. Very own Neo tank. You could also go for bombers here as Eagle for sure. See Neo tanks, go bombers. 1 bomber can kill 2 Neo tanks during a super. Another Koal super. Diving on in here, the Neo tank's probably going to go take out that medium tank. I'm just going to go... It is. Oh. Oh, I guess it's still just a 1 shot from the plane, so might as well. Zoom. I don't like sitting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess if this infantry wasn't here, if the tank could have made it down to this forest, that would have been so annoying. Being on this property is not very annoying. As the infantry will just kind of walk forward and kill you. We do have a fighter built, so the Neo tank, or the bomber is definitely anticipated. Anti-air's on their way to go reach these copters. Neo tank will get a Neo tank swing here. Unfortunately, I guess there'll be some vehicle attacks up here for wedgekahn. The rocket's just going to be able to utilize the super for some extra movement. We finally have an infantry getting in range of this comm tower after having pretty good control over the area for the last like 5 turns. Right, here comes the lightning strike. Neo tanks ahoy. Take out some copters. Oh, the Neo tank is not going to try and fight a different Neo tank with the first strike. Okay, well that's a little iffy for sure. We'll see if Coal Miner goes in to try and take out this Neo tank. It does kind of scream that it's being covered by a bomber, but I mean, it would still attack the opposing Neo tank if it had a bomber covering it. So I guess it's kind of a go for it. Plus, it's like a trade of a Neo tank for a Neo tank is what it looks like. HQ definitely under threat here. Rocket's on its way. We do have a classic case of a medium tank without much support over here. And now we have the bomber. Unfortunately for this bomber, this fighter has been out for a while, and there isn't a lightning strike anywhere nearby. Complete control over the HQ. There wasn't a full health infantry in range quite yet to start the capture, but next turn, funnily enough, if there wasn't a full health infantry over here, then there could be some serious contention for an HQ race. As is, it looks like Coal Miner is going to. Oh, the poor rocket! You can't do it to him. Is gonna get this HQ. That rocket spent so long moving up here just to die. It didn't even get to fire. Well, that's gonna be GG. And the bomber gets trapped too. That was a very interesting way for that bomber to get trapped. But respectfully passing the turn so that Coal Miner can finish the HQ cap, and there's GG. Extra movement gets the job done. Ooh, we have a Grimm game coming in. etoustar versus ForgotToShoot on Secret Ways. It's a standard game. It's the HQ cap respect. Let them get that satisfaction. Okay. Here we go. This is a pretty rough matchup for Jess. I mean, not for Jess, for Grimm. The extra firepower on the Jess unit or Jess vehicles, combined with extra movement, is real tough for Grimm to fight. And the lower firepower on the Jess infantry isn't the worst to fight Grimm's infantry, which are still going to be in like a very what's the word? It's not first to shoot. First to hit? The whole term. I just forgot it. But no word. First strike focus. Combats. There we go. Alright, so we got ForgotToShoot going with a tank first. etoustar going with double recons. I wouldn't go recons against Grimm, personally. As from experience playing as Grimm and against Grimm in Fog of War, the recons will just die in one shot from tanks all the time. So you can't get nearly as many cheeky recon plays where you like get a hit in, tank hits you but you barely survive kind of things. You do have to succeed a little bit of map control to get these recons out opposed to tanks. Having one recon kind of threatening over here could maybe be fine if they weren't in the same area being kind of zoned by the same tanks, then it's stronger. Ooh, okay. He's going to do a little bit of economic damage just kind of standing in the way over here. There are definitely quite a few infantry for them to harass. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about with like against Grimm in particular, your recons just kind of melt. Grimm goes for both of these comm towers at the same time. Interesting that this infantry backed off to this forest. I think it's fine for it to stay here and try and force this recon to like chill on this city. It was covered by a tank. I guess it wants to be able to walk over and attack this infantry. I guess it makes sense. Yeah, both comm towers do get interrupted. But the infantry that went for these interrupts are not very well covered. So they can get harassed back or cleaned up. Corner down here looking very docile in comparison to this one. They're going to go for a tank first strike. A pretty good one, too. If this was a slightly healthier infantry, I think it would work out a little bit better. It would make it so like only one tile can you be attacked from. But here, the 2 health tank should be able to clear this, and then you can have a tank. Less tank attack, and that's not nearly nice. Oh, never mind. The 2 health tank just backed off. So now this is looking pretty good, because now this guy can't be hit. Just the when. Do continue the interrupt over here, although it knocks it down to 2. A bunch of infantry are exposed to be attacked. And then it can just continue this capture and then be threatening to finish it next turn. But with all the infantry gone, then you have to use a tank to do it. Grimm does get the comm tower, so lots of extra combat potential here. Pop, pop. Now goes all those infantry, like I was saying. There's now 2 capture points away for the 2 health infantry. The only thing that can interrupt it is a tank, and the Grimm tanks, I'm sure, will be waiting to strike. Pop, pop. Finish off the tank off the HQ. This is fighting in base range, so definitely not ideal. This is fighting just like barely out of base range, which is what you would much rather have. Jess does have the power. So there's always going to be the potential for some surprise movement, shenanigans, and extra firepower. Ooh, but it does look like no tank is going to be sacrificed to stop that comm tower. So it's going to be double comm tower Grimm, which is pretty nasty for sure. Although this comm tower is definitely a threat. And Grimm also has access to a power here, which would be, I think another plus 30, I think. So you'd go up to plus 80%. And the HQ is getting captured, and the only thing defending it are a bunch of infantry right now. Oh boy. You do go for the overdrive. A lot of these, 3 of these vehicles don't have amazing options. A lot of tanks to attack over here, though, which is pretty nice. But wait a second, all of the tanks abandoned the HQ? This looks super GG. Haymaker! Block the way, take the HQ, almost get the 1-shots on the tanks. on the road got the one shot, even with the extra defense from the power. Oof. Well, I did say that I thought that this was a tough matchup for Grimm, but ForgotToShoot definitely got the win there. I think the double recon strat is not great against Grimm, and definitely didn't work out well on the map. And then losing both comm towers to Grimm, there was just so much firepower. GG. Never really able to leverage the extra movement to get those first straight. Lou. Drake versus Kindle. Hello. Why? Another comment. Sure, everyone's facing the way that we should be facing. Okay. Oh, this is the remake of Stolen Seconds. Was itself a remake? Or is this a remake? Is this just Stolen Seconds? No, it's like the forest over here is moved. Yeah, there's some slight stuff. There isn't a forest in the center to be used for artillery and stuff. The forest over here isn't staring at a central city. That doesn't mean that artillery are going to be a lot worse on this version of the map, because there was a whole strategy focused around really early artillery staring at contested cities. This city is also able to be interacted by vehicles now. Quite a few little changes here. I think that this tends to be a Kindle map because there's a lot of really strong cities to fight from. Like these ones are really good for Kindle, as all of the tiles that your opponent uses to attack them are really weak terrain. So the Kindle retaliation is just kind of one-shot stuff. Incredibly bold to move the recon here next to a city. If there was a tank built last turn, which would not be impossible, or a tank that just came down over here, then this would be a super dead recon. Okay. Very bold to send this infantry over here to start this capture with the recon in sight. We'll see how Kindle decides to handle this. Ooh, okay. Oh, never mind. This is Drake. Mobilize is Drake, not Kindle. So this recon was not going to get one-shotted. Pop is going to attack. I think infantry can probably finish it off. Unfortunately, go for the comm tower capture after the attack. Okay. Kindle looking pretty strong here. This is where things get scary. There's only one tank over here, but Lou does not know that. So you're like, they're capturing my city. I need to stop that. You need to like both clear off that infantry and then stand on the city. Otherwise, your opponent can get some really good exchanges on it. Take that. Oof, this recon lived at 1. Fairly fortunate for it, for sure. Ooh, the anti-air barely can't reach. Or Recon's gonna go down. I would try and keep that 1 health Recon alive if I could. Extra vision is just really nice. And 1 health Recons, of course, give just as much vision as a full health Recon. The glue's kind of in position to clear this out up here, which is nice. Falling back over here, the copter just barely got a strike in outside of anti-air range. It looks like Kindle is going to get the central city, which potentially both central cities, kind of backbreaking how much extra income Kindle will be getting. This city looks like it's going to get potentially taken. So I probably wouldn't attack with this 4 health infantry. Getting it back is fine, and the full health one to finish. Yeah, we are going to go for that interrupt. It's a little painful for sure. Trying to get the vehicle count nice and healthy. Kindle's up 3k right now, and Drake does not have a single capture in progress. Again, this is Kindle threat over here. You gotta clear it, and then you gotta stand on it. But now Kindle's gonna have the Urban Blight available. So you gotta stand on it with something you don't really care about getting hit with Urban Blight, or attack it with stuff you don't care if that you hit. Okay, like that. But now if they Urban Blight, they can easily clear the infantry off. Fortunately, the anti-air is not in range, as that would be the obvious go-to there. Ooh, we are going to Urban Blight in the dock. A little gutsy to charge in here for sure. The artillery placement turned out to be really nice. Anti-air got knocked down to 5, but that's still a pretty big threat, especially since it's not impossible for Drake. Oh, this poor Recon. How did this happen to this Recon? We didn't have vision. It just stood there. Okay. Especially because if Drake gets the super on this turn, which is not impossible. Yeah, then this will end up being really painful. It even interrupts this city. That tank survived that one. There's a lot of roads and shoals on this map, so the rain isn't going to be too effective. Only slowing down the vehicles as they go over plains and forests. There gets hit here. Another anti-air on the way. There's a lot of copters, although they're of course getting injured. Got hit by the rain. And it looks like Drake's army is still pretty healthy. It's getting a little bit countered by unit composition right now. But it's definitely recoverable. A lot of attacks in here. Try and finish off a bunch of little tanks. Yeah, and like the 8 health and the 7 health copter, they still don't really want to be fighting into injured anti-airs. The huge unit value discrepancy here. Another Urban Blight on the get-go. All it hits is a single infantry from Kindle's perspective. It does hit, what, that infantry and then 2 tanks that were built. Ugh. a really weak Urban Blight in comparison to how much damage the Drake powers are doing. Which is why you really don't want to just kind of do blind Urban Blights like that. Oh yeah, I usually hit this. When the copter gets to go down to this anti-air as well, yeah, things are looking... Even though Kindle is up 4K, you know, relatively low econ match, things are looking really good for Drake. The army value, the unit count, it's so high. Pretty soon these cities will start flipping. And it's going to be Drake to get the next power. These copters have to fight on the front lines into anti-air. Like next turn, this kills this one, this kills this one. This might live. It's a 2 health anti-air. Then we have 2 injured anti-airs to kill off this copter. And then probably we get the super off of all that. Or really close to it. What? And there it is. Not a super high damage super because Kindle's really low on units right now. But still very impactful. $15 units to 30, half the unit value. Another Urban Blight in the dark. It does hit. I guess it did 1 damage to this one. It hits this infantry. Oh no, we don't even get to utilize Urban Blight extra damage off of cities. All these units are cleaned up. Oh, that's super GG. Pop, pop. Kindle's still managing to maintain the income lead, although it's about to flip. A lot was lost in order to maintain that income lead. A lot more just got lost to continue to try and maintain it. Gonna be even when this city flips. Although I guess you can Urban Blight strike with this infantry. That is what we do. It does take a whole power to save a city for a little while here. Oh my gosh. Very aggressive from Kindle here. Chasing down the army. We now have equal economies. Huge attacks out of Drake. Could even pop the normal power if Drake wanted to here. To kind of finalize some of these kills, but just letting the super show up again is also very strong, of course. Global damage is global damage. Another Urban Blight in the dark. Really don't recommend that. Typhoon! Artillery. Looks like Lou might have messed up with this super. As Drake is immune to the rain effects for movement, but not for vision. So Kindle did not get absolutely destroyed by all the units there. And that's why it's important to map out your turns before you hit the Drake super. Really need some Drake recons. Really, they both need some recons. Oh yeah, Kindle went on the way. Save the city, save the world. Okay. Kindle caught up a little bit in unit count. A little weird. Get shot by an artillery and I guess this wasn't actually seen, so just thought the artillery is back here. Rest in peace, Neotank. We knew you well. And there's going to be resign. So I really liked what Kindle was doing with trying to leverage like the city, for instance, and be like, oh, I can set up attacks from it, because you definitely can. The one thing that really went downhill for Kindle here was just urban blights in the blind like that. Make it rain. And I think that's just going to be a transition as you go up in the ranks. Because early in the ranks, you can do that as Kindle. You can be like, oh, I can do my power. I'll use my power. And it like hits half of your opponent's units because they're all just chilling on cities. But then people play, like, as you go up in the ranks, people learn how to play against Kindle, and then you have to adapt as Kindle as well. And you can't just press it whenever you want. You gotta have a plan for what your power is going to do. Very well done by Lou to play around Kindle like that. Yeah, sneak in one more game. Naberius Busta versus against Falcon Field V3. From last year. The Blighty button. Oh, I remember this map. The Lash mirror. This is the map where if you remove your black boat from your lab, things can get very dangerous very quickly. I think this was in a tournament. Lensthorn Cup, I assume? You had to play Alaska Larner. Oh. This map set the Discord ablaze. We'll see how they decide to play. Ooh, Naberius Buster got off the lab immediately. Does AdvanceNoob do so as well? Okay, so they're both playing a little bit with fire, as we can see. We have the immediate double unloads. AdvanceNoob is forced to unload onto this lab. I will say that this is insane first turn advantage. Player 1 is faster to the middle from both fronts. But you know what, that is what it is. Gets the harbor. There's unloading more mechs over here. Look at how. You can defend this lab with an artillery back here, but yeah. There's stuff happening elsewhere on the map. It's just the center is such high stakes. Especially if there's only harbors in the center. So if they're both controlled, then there's really not much you can do to salvage this situation, because someone can just build a lander and start unloading vehicles over here. And as you can see, now player 1 is capturing everything on the island, except for these 2 things that player 2 has. We do go for a little recon harassment over here. It costs that recon its life, but that's it is harassing the only infantry that AdvanceNoob has on this front, so probably worthwhile to harass that. You can also build a battleship. Expensive. Usually you offset FTA with black boats by having them positioned so that player 2's already got one ahead, like ahead of where you need to move it. So like player 2 would have a black boat by a base that has an infantry, for instance, or something like that. But it's also going to be basically really difficult to do in this kind of situation where got multiple bases. That can feed into the middle like this. The Naberius Buster does get this harbor. Also has a copter on the way, which is going to threaten AdvanceNoob and kind of force out an anti-air over here. All these central cities go to Naberius Buster. Ooh, who decides to just attack with this mech? That's fine. It does mean you go down a tiny bit in economy, but like you need to keep up the pressure on AdvanceNoob. You do have the 2 copters built up here. I think they're going to be sent into the middle. Naberius Buster just needs to afford a lander, and then I think this is pretty much GG. Look, this base, it can never get infantry. It's forced to send them up here to die, and then they don't even get to get captures, because the captures are already won over by player 1. So this looks almost very promising. It's like, oh, we can get the harbor, but you can just break through here as Naberius Buster. This copter can just fly out. There's a lot of harassment coming in over here for sure. The anti-air was kind of forced. It means that black boat didn't pick up an infantry this turn. Ooh. I guess the copter, the copter could have gone here. I don't know. Op, interrupt that capture going. AdvanceNoob just trying to not die here. It's a classic pastime of many an Advanced Wars player. Okay. We have a fighter. There's no way the fighter is the right buy. But sure. It does mean that these copters are not going to be able to come in here and have an easy time rescuing. Okay, yeah. But I was going to say you could build a carrier if you really wanted to do that. For sure. I guess the fighter's job is to protect the carrier from the copters that have made it within the minimum range. I still think just building a lander and then like bringing an anti-air or a rocket or something over here, maybe anti-air and a rocket, and then the rocket stops artillery from defending the lab. Or you can just join cap the lab to fight through the artillery fire. Alright, the copter gets a shot on the carrier. And he's going to be able to hit by an opposing copter for that, and then the carrier just kind of repairs up the full. So, I mean, it does do... I mean, that is a 6,000 value attack, but it is high funds. So... Hold on. The copter's not interested because the copter just wants to threaten to win the game. Okay. And now here comes the lander. I'm pretty sure the copter had a relatively free attack over here. AdvanceNoob resigns. GG. I mean, the middle is just, it's so bad. I think even with like the fighter and the carrier buy being fairly suboptimal, you have to build like artillery here, rocket here, and then defend them on the coastline. I guess you can't do rocket here, can you? I guess you do rocket here. It's like on the city, and you try and defend it with your single base or something like that. It's just GG. Yeah, but if we look at the... So here, I guess the advantage that player 2 has FTA wise is like, sure, player 1 gets the first infantry or foot soldiers, but player 2 is supposed to respond by unloading double foot soldiers first, I assume. So instead, like this black boat, I guess what you do is this black boat goes here instead, and then if player 1 loads in, like does this double load in thing, you load all 4 of your foot soldiers into your black boats, and then you unload. You have to cancel your caps to do it. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's great. But that's the end of the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. You could definitely make it so the black boats have to travel farther to get places. That will also help a lot. It helps offset any turn advantage stuff. You enjoyed this stream. We even have a spooky apple. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good night. See you guys later. Oops, that's the wrong one.
Go7 King of the Penguins.
So spooky, we're starting again.
The Penguins, he is king. It's Go7 King of the Penguins. Being king of the Penguins, that's his thing.